Hello, football fans, and welcome to the Team Rivalry Big Ten Week 2 West Division Preview. I'm your host, Cliff Richardson. Yes, I am back. The power has been restored at the home stadium. Our commentator extraordinaire, Mackenzie Richardson, is also on hand. How are things going over there, Mac?
Pretty solid. Good first week of football. Ready to get into some week 2 action.
Excellent. Before we get into it, though, we got to remind everybody where they can find us. This website is teamrivalry.com. I can't even say the name anymore. Teamrivalry.com. Where can they find us on the socials?
On Twitter, we are at Rivalry B1G. That's capital B1G. You can't capitalize the number 1, but it's in there nonetheless. You can also find us here on YouTube. Go ahead, take a second to subscribe, like the video, share it with your best friend and their best friend or other friends that you're maybe not your best friend, but they're still friends. So, share it with them. And then leave a comment in the comment section. Give us your hottest take for the rest of the football season.
And don't forget to ring the bell, get the notifications.
I always forget that.
We also need 100 subscribers. We're looking for our first 100 subscribers, 100 subscribers, so that we can get that customized URL. And you can just be youtube.com/teamrivalry. Mac, we've got a full slate of non-conference games in the West Division, just like we did in the East Division. And in case, viewers, if you missed our East Division preview, the link for that will be in the show notes. On the West side this week, we have one first-time matchup and a rivalry dating back to 1894. It's got to be one of the oldest rivalries. I'm not even sure Michigan State have been playing that long. But college football has a long memory, and that's why we have rivalries. Also, we have 3 games this weekend. This is what I found interesting because we are talking about non-conference games, and typically non-conference games are not that difficult, not that exciting. We often look at them as the preseason for college football, unless, of course, you get Michigan against Alabama, one of those kind of non-conference games, or an Ohio State against Georgia, one of those kind of games. Those are a lot better, or an Ohio State versus Notre Dame, which we saw last weekend. But typically, it's a Big Ten team powerhouse against a small FCS team or a MAC team. Anyway, as I'm rambling on for this one, the point here, and there was a point. There's always a point.
There's a point.
We have 3 games in the West Division where the opponent has a better than 10% chance of winning, according to the ESPN FPI scoring system. And in fact, they're actually over 30%, which I found fascinating. This, I think, goes to show us the difficulty the West Division is having keeping up with the East Division. Mac, you actually did a video on that, why we should get rid of divisions. We're going to have a link to that in the show notes, so you can go back and check that out. Now, let's get to some football. Game 1, Western Illinois at Minnesota, this Saturday at noon. Minnesota is on a 4-game winning streak and will likely dominate the Leathernecks of Western Illinois. What would you like to see from Minnesota in this game?
More of the same, honestly. Last week they had the 38-0 shutout of New Mexico State when former coach Jerry Kill, which one I'm sure was kind of embarrassing for him, but whatever. That is about as good of a start to a season as you could ask for a team that's looking to challenge Wisconsin and Iowa for the Big Ten West this year. Although Iowa, but honestly, really no glaring issues that I can tell just yet from Minnesota. They allowed less than 100 yards of total offense. That's amazing. Never turned the ball over. They had the ball for 44 minutes of gameplay. Honestly, just sheer methodical domination from the Gophers. They need to do that against Western Illinois.
All right.
Oh, geez.
What? No, I'm sorry, I lost track of what you were saying there. What's your prediction for this game?
Minnesota 41-3.
41-3. Game 2, Duke at Northwestern at noon on Saturday. There's not a lot of light between the records of these two teams. Duke had a shutout last week against Temple. Northwestern squeaked past Nebraska. I think this would be a bigger win for Duke, but the outcome of this game probably won't impact the Big Ten championship. But who do you think wants it more?
Well, I'm going to say Northwestern probably wants it more, just to keep their undefeated record intact coming into Big Ten play. And with the way their offense moved the ball against Nebraska, I think they ought to be able to do the same to Duke. To be honest, I'm really not sure of Duke's prospects in the ACC this season. Obviously, a shutout is never something to dismiss in today's fast-paced game of football. Duke had that last week. I can't remember their opponent. But as good as Northwestern's offense looked against Nebraska, I do think they'll be tough to stop for a Duke defense that didn't exactly do historically well against competent offenses last season.
What's your prediction for this game?
I'm going to take Northwestern 35-17.
Game 3, Washington State at Wisconsin this Saturday at 3:30. This is the typical non-conference game for the Big Ten. Wisconsin had a shutout last weekend. What can we expect from the Badgers this weekend?
Yeah, Wisconsin looked really good last week for sure. 440 yards of total offense, allowed less than 240 yards. It was a very clean and competent effort, even though I think they probably should have scored more points in that game. They won playing Wisconsin football, and I think that's really important for them. They had more rushing yards than passing yards against a team like Western Illinois. You know, you don't really need to pass the ball, and if you don't, then why would you? While I do think it would be helpful to give Graham Mertz a little bit more confidence coming into the thick of their schedule, in case he does need to win a game or two using his arm. But it's clear at this point that Wisconsin has some talented weapons at running back, so they might be able to wear better teams down doing that, a lot like Michigan did last year. Washington State is on the road in this game, and they played a curiously close game against Idaho. I expect Wisconsin to win comfortably.
And what's your prediction?
I've got the Badgers 31-14.
Game 4 is our rivalry game of the weekend. Iowa State at Iowa, September 10th, a Saturday at 4 p.m. This is the Cy-Hawk rivalry game, and it is the 70th meeting between these two teams, which doesn't quite account for the duration of this rivalry, which started in 1894, which was more than 70 years ago. But this is, in fact, their 70th meeting. It is the oldest rivalry for this weekend. I feel about this game like I did last weekend's Notre Dame-Ohio State game. It should be a great matchup. We've talked about how Ohio State should be in the Big Ten rather than, say, Rutgers. Last year, Iowa State beat Texas and TCU. Iowa has always been the big bruisers in the Big Ten. If they can't win, they'll make you hurt trying. Until last weekend, of course. I have a feeling Iowa State is going to dominate the Hawkeyes, though. What do you think?
Yeah, I'm inclined to agree, but Iowa has been able to find ways to beat Iowa State, despite having an offense that just baffles the mind with how bad they are. It's clear Iowa has a phenomenal defense, but no matter how good the defense is, it's not a good thing when they outscore your offense, unless, of course, you're somehow getting multiple pick sixes in a game. That's not what happened with Iowa last week. They won, that's fine, but their offense was shut out by an FCS team. A good FCS team, sure, that's fine, but still an FCS team. This shouldn't have been a close game, and without the field goal and two safeties, this is a 3-0 shutout win for South Dakota State. Iowa State has an offense that just put up 42 points in their opener. Granted, against a super weak team, but you got to believe they'll score at least once or twice against Iowa. And if Iowa can't score against an FCS team, then how can we expect them to score against Iowa State? Now, this could all be moot because, after all, it is a rivalry game. You know, stats are out the window. But if I'm an Iowa fan, I'm very nervous about how this game is going to go.
Mm-hmm. What's your prediction for this game?
Yeah, I got Iowa State. I don't know how you can expect Iowa to win against better competition right now with the way that offense played. So I've got the Cyclones 17-6.
Yeah, I think Iowa State's going to put up a pretty good fight this weekend, given there's essentially blood in the water for Iowa from last weekend. Game 5 is Indiana State at Purdue this Saturday at 4 p.m. Purdue had a disappointing loss against Penn State last weekend. I think we were all kind of hoping they would pull that win out, but they only lost by 4 points. Indiana State probably won't be much of a challenge. It's the response, though, that sets the tone after a loss for the rest of the season. What do you expect from Purdue from this game or in this game?
I expect them to respond. I don't know if Penn State's defense is really all that improved from last season, although I didn't think that they were actually that bad. But despite that, Purdue still moved the ball very well against them. I do like Purdue to emphatically make a comeback for this game and use it, not a comeback in the game, but to respond after the loss and to win this game comfortably, and to use it as motivation to keep moving forward and potentially still make something pretty good out of this season.
And what's your prediction for this game?
Yeah, I've got Purdue in a blowout, 41-17.
Game 6, we've got Virginia at Illinois this Saturday at 4 p.m. I'm just going to say it. You've got two struggling teams struggling to have winning seasons. I think Illinois is already out for the season. Virginia will bury them. What do you think?
So I'm going to push back on you. I don't think Illinois is actually done just yet. Their chances of making anything out of the Big Ten season are minimal at this point with the loss to Indiana, the honestly inexplicable loss to Indiana. If all you know about Illinois is the domination of Wyoming, but whatever. I mean, Virginia went 6-6 last season and opened this season with an okay win over Richmond. That said, Illinois needs a win over a Power 5 team to keep the hopes of progress alive under Brett Bielema. If they lose here, then it feels like it could just be more of the same for Illinois. I don't think it'll be a blowout, and Illinois is at home, but I do think Virginia is the stronger team. Really, this game could go either way, and since Illinois is the home team, I think that they have a better shot at a rebound.
And this is actually, I forgot to mention, this is one of our games where ESPN predicts a better than 30% chance of Virginia to win. The other game was Iowa State versus Iowa, and then also the Duke versus Northwestern.
Oh, wow.
But what is your prediction for this game then?
Well, I've got Illinois in a sloppy victory over Virginia, 28-21.
And I think that's telling right there too. You're saying Virginia is going to put up 21 points against this Big Ten team. I think that's where ESPN's getting their 30%. Game 7, Georgia Southern at Nebraska. This is one of our first game alerts, which is not too surprising. I don't think. You've got two teams that are not all that close in proximity. This game is this Saturday at 7:30. This is game 3, actually, for Nebraska rather than game 2. They're already 1-1. I know Georgia Southern probably can't keep up with them, but Nebraska is so erratic. I'm wondering if the Georgia Southern Eagles will find a way to exploit that and come away with the win.
Yeah, I mean, I would say no, but North Dakota almost found a way to do it. And without a couple of late touchdowns, Nebraska could be 0-2 right now. And that's to an FCS team. So Georgia did put up 59 points on Morgan State. And yeah, that's another weak opponent. But Nebraska only put up 38 on North Dakota, an FCS team at home. So while it was a step in the right direction for Nebraska, at this point, no game is guaranteed, especially when they keep turning the ball over. They had 3 turnovers against Northwestern and then 2 more against North Dakota. That's really unacceptably sloppy play from an offense that should be so much better than this in year 6 of Scott Frost. If they do that against Georgia Southern, then watch out, because the Scott Frost era may come to an end sooner than later.
And what's your prediction for this game?
I'm going to give Nebraska the win in the hopes that they'll improve after finally winning a game last week, but I'm not the least bit confident in this pick given Georgia State's offense. But I'll just go ahead and take Nebraska 31-28, and then I guess cross my fingers or something.
Yeah, they're going to keep it tight. That will do it for the West Division. If you have a different opinion or prediction, leave it in the comments. Challenge our commentator extraordinaire. Give him a tough time, because Mac loves that. Right, Mac?
Yeah, absolutely. Bring it on. See what you can do.
Thanks again for hanging with us all the way through this week 2 preview. Enjoy Saturday. Enjoy some football. This is Team Rivalry.